Hi, it's the 21st of January, and what I'd like to cover in this session is how the spiritual energies around us are responding to the inauguration of a new president in the United States yesterday. I want to understand how yin and yang and the elements, I want to look at their narrative, I want to look at their story, and I want to look at what they are reflecting back to us. So we will be doing that today, and we will also look at the current sun moon position and get some extra information from that as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk to you about the wildfires in California around Los Angeles, which seems a strange way to look at the spiritual and how it is reflecting the events of a new president in the United States. Well, I have a theory about West Coasts and East Coasts. And all the West Coasts, as far as I'm concerned, have a lot more going on with them than the East Coast. Now, we can argue this, but the weather around the globe has a particular direction. The prevailing winds will go in a certain direction because of the spin of the Earth. This means that weather comes in from the west and moves across to the east. Sorry, I'm doing that. And of course, it's a mirror image, so I don't know what you're seeing. But anyway, I have long noticed that the west coast of England has a different dynamic to the east coast. And I definitely see this in the United States as well. The fires, the terrible and tragic fires, recent fires around Los Angeles, have been striking for a particular reason when it comes to astrology and the elements, because we are looking at fire. And because I know at the moment that we have a massive war being waged between the feminine and the masculine, I'm looking for the symbolism in the events that are happening on Earth. Now, okay, so let's consider that the West Coast and the fires on the West Coast might be a reflection of the masculine around this time. Let's just consider that. Yesterday, the weather was so cold that the inauguration had to be moved indoors, and so it shut down a great deal of the ceremony. So record cold was recorded. Okay. When something shuts down like this, freezes, then what it is a reflection of is the feminine, because that's what the feminine does. It stops things in its tracks. It draws them in. The feminine is like gravity, pulling everything in, shutting it down. The masculine is like solar radiation, bursting out, radiating everything. So I see there in America, just from recent days, an example of the massive war going on over our heads in the invisible realms regarding the rise of the feminine and how the masculine is trying to hang on to its position, the position it's had for the last 2,000 years, the patriarchal society where masculine was considered to be of higher rank than feminine or females. Okay, right, so that is an interesting thought, and I'm open to whatever comments you want to make about that. I just want to put it on the table and suggest that you kind of have a think about it. Now, what I want to do to add to this this particular question is have a look now at today's chart. So I'm going to share that with you, and we can look at some further evidence here. Right, first thing to note is that right at this moment, the Sun is absolutely conjunct Pluto. So we've got 0142, 0142. That's kind of neat. I like it when I open a chart and it does something like that. It's like it's talking to me. Okay, now we've got a little something else going on here, and I just want to bring it to your attention, and it's the moon. So the moon is at 28 degrees of Libra, and in 3 degrees time, 2 degrees time, it will get to 29, and then it will go to 0 and then 01, and it will at that point be at 0142 of Scorpio, and so it will be in an exact square with the Sun and Pluto. Now we get an exact square between the Sun and the Moon twice a month. This is not unusual. But to get this happening when Pluto is being exactly conjunct the Sun and therefore will be exactly squared by the Moon is a little different. Okay, the potential for that is quite slim, to be honest. Okay, I can't ignore also this planet here is Haumea. And I can't ignore the fact that Haumea is quite close. Now, it is true that there is a long-running square going on between Eris over here, Haumea opposite, and then we've got Pluto here, making it a T-square. Okay. Now, okay, this is out of sign with Eris. You probably spotted that. It's not in Taurus. However, it is still a loose T-square. Okay, so Haumea is a dwarf planet, and Haumea was a goddess which was worshipped and brought into life by the Polynesians in Hawaii, and was named by Mike Brown early in this millennia because he wanted to start giving planets the names of deities from around the western coast of USA and Polynesia, different deities, to the fact that we'd always followed this same sort of protocol, and that is to name them after Roman or Greek deities. He didn't see the reason for this, quite right, and so he gave them names completely out of the blue from places around the Pacific Ocean. Okay, now, so the first thing I'm going to discuss here, let me stop sharing. First thing I'm going to look at is what the square between the moon and the sun means, right? We get them twice a month. What does it mean? Well, it's usually a time when an adjustment is being forced, when something's backed into a corner and it has to make an action, when noticeably people are tetchy with each other, when things get frustrated or thwarted, and a different direction has to be taken. So that by itself causes a day or two, when a day maybe, when there is a frustration and some fractious energy in the air. Okay. Right, now let's add in Pluto, right? So Pluto is the symbol of generation, of nature, of evolution. It is a feminine symbol and it indicates slow evolution, the evolutionary process and progress. It's just moved into Aquarius, and so it has to take up now with Aquarius keywords, the things that resonate with Aquarius. Pluto has to deal with those. And coming to the forefront without any doubt whatsoever is technology and AI. AI, the big one. Artificial intelligence. So we get at this point a situation which is forcing out issues to do with AI And also, because Scorpio is concerned, we've got this underground subversive hidden text as well. There's a hidden motive going on here. Something's in the shadows which we can't see. Okay, so we all know that the latest president for the United States is very much in favor of technology and specifically AI. Because he's big friends with Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who is a big promoter of AI. But I understand that also the bosses of big tech giants over there were very much favored yesterday as well. So I think what this is doing is it's really pushing out the issue and the context and the arguments and the challenges that a big rush into AI is going to bring. I don't think there's any way to avoid this. I think Pluto's sitting there is in an evolutionary way, providing the evolution, is saying this is unstoppable. There is an evolving process going on. It's an unstoppable train. This is going to be the issue. Right. Okay. Right. Right. Just sticking with that a moment. I I think it brings up challenges in terms of the masculine and feminine again, right? Because the masculine Aquarius is AI, and I think the feminine fears for the natural process of this planet's evolutionary ways, the way it normally evolves. I think the feminine fears for that natural process. I think the feminine has worries about whether the balance between nature and science, nature and a revolution, a technological revolution, can be managed. And I think that's what this square is showing to us. Haumea's presence there. Haumea is a creational goddess who oversees the birth of the land and the birth of anything. So Haumea, as far as the Polynesians were concerned in Hawaii, or the Hawaiians were concerned, Haumea used to be the volcanoes which spewed out the molten rock, which then solidified as it cooled with the seawater and became land. So she literally gave birth to land. Haumea is very much about the crust of the earth, very much wrapped in with the physical presence of Gaia, the earth. And Pluto is the evolutionary process, which the earth is involved with, the actual process rather than the physical production. Okay, so it's starting to look, as far as I'm concerned, as if this argument between masculine and feminine is very much encoded in our current spiritual environment. I want to throw in something else as well. For a while now, I have been doing some research on Quaoar, another of the dwarf planets. And I want to tell you that Quaoar was the indigenous deity of the Native American Indians who lived where? Around the area of Los Angeles, exactly where the fires are now. Now, that's no coincidence, is it, really? I don't think so. The reason that for me Quaoar was such a hugely important symbol, and I wanted to get into its meaning, was because recently it took a very significant part in a particular occasion, and I looked at it then and I realized this is one important new planet for us to get a hold of, understand, so that astrology can start to speak about the times that we're in. Astrology has to have symbols. We don't need an astrology to tell us that life is changing and everything's going to be different in the future. But we do need an astrology to describe it if we are to understand it on the level of spiritual understanding. So we've got there some interesting stuff. So Quaoar was discovered in time for these events. And please, I cannot overemphasize the hugely enormous effect that AI is going to have on our lives in the future and the direction of the human population. Now, I predicted back in 2006 and then 2011 that the discovery of the dwarf planets is going to mean that we will migrate, that humans will migrate away from the planet Earth. The way that the names were changed, the deities that were chosen, the issues at the time all indicated migration of population. And Makemake, in particular, a dwarf planet from Easter Island, dwarf planet named after the god of Easter Island, has in particular been about population explosion, population decreases. So the dwarf planets in general are kind of set up for this. So I've known for a long time that we will be traveling outwards from the Earth into the solar system and beyond. Haumea, the dwarf planet, has been cited by NASA as a potential place to land in the future because of the presence of water ice and it's a rocky surface. Coincidence? There's Haumea again. So at the moment, what I'm giving you is these early signs, and I'm inviting you to consider that we have the evidence of still and for a long while this massive war going on between the masculine and the feminine, the yin and yang in the atmosphere around us, but also adding into that the new technologies or the new subjects, the new issues that will become part of that in the future. And certainly there will be wars over AI. I also want to tell you something about the Indigo children. This is very much an English term, the Indigo children. They're a particular group of children born between 1989 and 1996. They were identified early on by an author over here in the UK as being a group or a cohort of children who were completely different to any generation that has gone before, much more determined, much more insistent to ignore their parents' advice, very stubbornly fixed in their ways. Look it up. I've written a lot about them as well. And these children, now getting into their 30s, are here because of the AI challenge. The presence of these children, which I've wondered about all this time, what have they come here to do? They have stayed determinedly single. They don't easily get into relationships. They have something. Each of them has a strong knowledge that they're here to do something, but they don't know what it is yet. But they all know this really strongly. They have been encoded. They have a challenge written into their DNA and an ability in their DNA to do something about some challenge in the future. And this has been, this has always been, as far as these children were concerned. Okay, these kids have the ability to take on the AI of the future. And that's what they're here for. So I'm quite excited to see this. Before I pass through, always wanted to know what these children were here for, and this is it. Okay, I've rambled on for a long time there, and I've thrown a lot of stuff at you, but a lot's happening all at once. And so, anyway, thank you. And I will hopefully see you soon. And thank you ever so much for listening this far. You've done really well. I've thrown at you some brand new concepts, I know, and I'm sorry. But hey, that's what I'm here for. If anything, what I'm most concerned with is that my astrology should be used in this way to give you this kind of information. So that's what I pride myself on. I am an astrologer first and foremost. Okay, thank you. Bye.